Good morning. The time is 11:42. Welcome, board members and guests, to the Wednesday, January 26, 2022 meeting of the South Placer Regional Transportation Authority. We welcome the public to in-person participation. In addition, remote teleconferencing participation is available to board members and the public pursuant to the provisions of Government Code Section 54953E due to COVID-19 state of emergency proclamation and recommendations for social distancing. Public comment. There will be multiple opportunities throughout this meeting for public comment. After I open an item for public comment, those joining us by the Zoom meeting webinar can signal they wish to speak by clicking the raise hand button on the middle bottom of the Zoom webinar window. If you are joining over the phone, you can press *9. SPRTA staff will call out individuals one by one who have indicated they wish to speak. For those joining us in person, you are welcome to come to the podium. We ask that anyone making a public comment state their name and city of residence. You will then have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, and we will notify you when your 3 minutes are up. If you experience technical difficulties and are unable to provide public comment during this meeting, please email your comment to Solvi Sobel, our clerk, at ssabol@pctpa.net. Because this meeting is being conducted via teleconferencing, all votes will be roll call votes. Board members, we ask that you state your name prior to making a motion or seconding a motion for the record. Once an item has been moved and seconded, I will request the clerk to call the roll call vote. Thank you, and please stand for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Sylvie, would you please take roll call?
Broadway,
Here.
Howdeshelt,
Here.
Joyner.
Here.
All right.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is AB 361, remote teleconferencing. And Sylvie, I believe you're going to review that item.
Yes. As you're aware, with AB 361, the board can continue to meet with the relaxed teleconference rules due to the state of emergency and the state recommendations for social distancing. The board needs to periodically consider the circumstances of the state of emergency and their ability to continue to meet safely in person under the state's social distancing recommendations. These social distancing guidelines have been evaluated and continue to warrant meeting remotely, and we ask that the board adopts findings to allow for the continued teleconference meetings.
Great, thank you, Sylvie. Do we have any questions or comments from the board?
None.
Okay, there being no questions, could I get a motion?
Move staff recommendation. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? There being none, Sylvie, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Broadway,
Yes.
Howdeshelt,
Yes.
Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Wonderful, thank you. Next item on our agenda is approval of the action minutes from December 1st. Those were distributed with our packet for today's meeting. Are there any comments, questions from the board regarding the minutes?
None. I'll go ahead and move the item. Second. Howdeshelt seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comment? There being none, Sylvie, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Broadway,
Yes.
Howdeshelt,
Yes.
Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sylvie. Next item on our agenda is agenda review. Are there any items that the board wishes to modify on the agenda today?
No.
And
Staff?
staff has no recommended changes.
Okay, is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment on the agenda, Sylvie? No. All right. Could I get approval of the agenda, please?
Howdeshelt moves.
Joyner seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. There being no
sorry.
further comments, so we roll call vote,
Sorry
please.
again. Broadway,
Yes.
Howdeshelt,
Yes.
Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent, thank you. Next item on our agenda today is public comment. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on any item not on our agenda today. Sylvie, do we have any public comment? We do not. Okay, there being no public comment, we will bring it back to the board. Next item is our consent calendar. We have one item. Consent calendar items are items that are routine and non-controversial. They'll be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion, and any board member of the staff or citizen may request an item to be removed. We have one item on our consent calendar. Does the board wish to remove that item?
No.
Do we have anyone from the public wishing to remove an item? I'll bring it back to the board then for action.
Howard moves consent, calendar, agenda.
Joyner seconds.
We got a motion and a second. If there's no further comment, Sylvia, if we could get a roll call vote, please.
Broadway.
Yes,
Howard.
Yes.
Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
wonderful. Next item on our agenda today is the fiscal year 2021-22 Administrative Budget Amendment Number 1. And we have a presentation from Rick Carter because we want to tax his voice as much as we can today.
Good morning, everyone. Item is very simple. There are no slides. The request is to increase the budget by $5,595 for additional staff time. As a result, last year, our fiscal administrative officer, Shirley LeBlanc, retired, and we hired Jody Lacoste as the replacement. And there was a transition period where they were both on staff. And so that resulted in an increased need for hours, for this item. That's it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rick. Any questions from the board for Rick on this item?
None. Pretty direct.
All right, any questions from the public? No. Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Joyner moves approval.
Howard seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further comment, Sylvia, if we could get a roll call vote, please.
Broadway.
Yes,
Howard.
Yes.
Joyner.
Yes.
Motion passes.
wonderful. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is a public hearing. This action is adopting an administrative fee for the bond opportunities for land development BOLD program. And Rick Carter, I believe you're going to present that item today?
Yeah, I'm up again. Pretty straightforward. There are no slides for this either. Brief background, new development pays impact fees in the county that includes the SPRTA Tier 1 and Tier 2 fees. The state has established a program that's the Bond Opportunities for Land Development, or the BOLD program, that allows developers to use Melrose District to bond and pay development impact fees. And so SPRTA participates in that program. We do incur administrative costs in terms of processing those program funds. In terms of the actual process that occurs, developer pays permit fees at the counter when they're pulling their building permit. When they've done they pulled a sufficient number of permits, they work with the BOLD program and they sell bonds. The BOLD program sells bonds, and then they ask SPRTA to authorize a disbursement of bond funds to reimburse the developer for those fee costs, and they're covered by the bonds. As part of that process, SPRTA has to certify that those fees have been properly paid. What we end up having to do is go through hard copy records, verifying the costs, in addition to confirming that the Melrose is properly formed. Then we have to archive some of this documentation. We've done several of these in the last 6 months. We were spending about 3 to 8 hours, in part because there were some discrepancies in the data. I've worked with the BOLD program administrator on documentation. I think we've got this streamlined down to about a 2-hour process. So we were looking for a $250 fee when they request a disbursement of funds. Covers about 2 hours of staff time. This item also went through the TAC. I also discussed this with a representative for the BIA, and they are not opposing this. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Rick, appreciate it. Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, this is,
Mr. Chair, a minor editing of the resolution in the 7th, whereas At the end of that, it refers to the ALUCP. If we could just, we would modify that to reflect SPRTA.
All right, when we make that motion, if a motion is made, if we could just reference that modification, I would appreciate it. We are in a public hearing, so I will open it up to the public for comment.
No members of the public.
No members of the public. We will then close the public hearing, and I'll bring it back to the board for action.
I'll move the adoption of staff's recommendation with a change to the seventh whereas, replacing ALUCP update with SPRTA update. Cover that.
Joiner seconds.
Hey, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There being none, Sylvie, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Broadway,
Yes.
Howdeshelt,
Yes.
Joyner,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. And next item is the executive director's report.
In the interest of time, I will not have a report today.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Board direction to staff. Any direction to staff, Mr. Joyner?
Only if Sylvie wants to save me an old fashioned out of that pink box I see sitting there.
I do
Just
have an
kidding.
old fashioned. I had a Dr. Pepper, all of that, Paul.
I know. Thank you for all of that. I appreciate it. I'll see you next month.
All right.
Wonderful. Bruce, any direction for staff? No. Wonderful. All right. In our packet was also included informational items from the TAC meeting minutes. And with that, if there's nothing else from staff, we will adjourn our meeting at 11:54. We are adjourned.
Thank you.